Hello everyone, this is ACH AI Akaya, and we are in the finals of the SCBG Open, the 2v2 championship. And as I mentioned, the two teams that are going to be going at it here, we have Azreal playing with his ally Bubba, Terran Zerg combination, facing off against FabIntegral and Darrenc C, his ally here. And as mentioned in the message here, if you can read it, Shock Strategy Guide sponsoring the tournament. Thank you very much to him. Big one up, because of course this tournament would not be possible without him, and his prize pool drew in some very stellar gamers. So the gameplay and a lot of the matches in this tournament have been incredible, and I am very excited to see exactly what happens on this finals matchup, because both of these teams have some very good players, although FabIntegral and Darrenc C have definitely had a harder road to get to this finals, because Azreal and Bubba have not yet lost a game. They are undefeated in the tournament so far, and as we saw in the semifinals, FabIntegral and Darrenc C had to play their absolute little tails off in order to make it into the finals here. So they have definitely earned their stripes and are here in the finals facing off against Azreal. And 13 of course is still casting with me here. We are in the finals in 13. What are you looking forward to? Do you have any predictions on this game so far, or what's your thoughts on this matchup?
I don't know that I really have any predictions. We've mentioned before in some of our previous videos that each of these teams do have one player from the top 200 US servers, so that's very exciting for the both of us to have a really high quality game. Darrenc C is ranked in the top 200 as well as Bubba, the Zerg player here, and I'm just expecting a really back and forth game. I don't think we're going to have a one push victory or anything like that. It's going to be a real solid, non-stop, jam-packed game.
Yeah, absolutely. I am looking forward to seeing what these players can pull out here, and of course a Protoss player getting in the mix here now, so I'm sure you're excited about that. But as
sound like a non-idiot for once.
Yeah, Azreal is chasing around Darrenc C's probe in his base. And as you mentioned, Darrenc C, one of the top 200 players for 1v1 in the US, and very excited to see how him and his teammate do here. But looks like FabIntegral once again going for that Zergling opening. Of course, has his spawning pool up and running. Although I will say one thing he is not doing that I'm a little bit surprised about is he is not yet getting that early expansion. A lot of the other games that we've seen him play, he goes for that early expansion really quick, either right after he's put his spawning pool down, or sometimes even before he puts the spawning pool down. So going for a little faster Ling upgrade here so that he can get those Lings out faster and put pressure on, not going for that early expansion. And here come the first set of Lings, a few Lings popping out here and they're heading across the map, going to try to put some pressure on, although there are some Lings coming out for Bubba as well here. So definitely going to see some early pressure, and one Marine already from Azreal defending that ramp, going to stop that scouting probe from Darrenc C from getting any more intel on exactly what he has in his base here. And it looks like there are a total of 6 Lings heading over right now from FabIntegral, and a couple more back at his base. But there is a Queen out at Bubba's base, and along with the help of these Zerglings, I don't think that FabIntegral is really going to be able to do any significant damage here right now. So especially with those next 2 Zerglings coming out, so it looks like FabIntegral is going to have to dance around a little bit and just basically try to distract Bubba as much as possible. And Bubba actually already getting up that fast expansion, so even beating FabIntegral to the expansion. Both of these Zerg players have shown that they like to get those early expansions, allowing them to get a slightly economic advantage in the early game.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that FabIntegral didn't go for Azreal's base. He hadn't completely walled off by the point that those Zerglings made it over to this point in the map. If he would have been able to sneak in there, he might have been able to pick off a couple SCVs before Azreal would have been able to take him out.
Yeah, absolutely, especially because initially he only had this one Marine guarding the entrance of that base, and obviously with 6 Zerglings he would have had plenty to get through that. And there is a decent amount of Speedlings now starting to build up for Bubba in the base right now. And I'm sorry, we're getting a little bit of lag here right now. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but anyways, hopefully that's the last of it. But there are a decent amount of Speedlings starting to build up here for FabIntegral as well. So both players going for the mass Speedling build, as we've seen a lot of the Zerg players do in this tournament so far. I do not see any Baneling tech up for Bubba as of right now. There is Baneling tech up for FabIntegral, but I don't think that he has any Banelings on the map as of yet. Yeah, as you can see, no Banelings right now. Just basically 28 Zerglings versus 18 Zerglings, an all-out Zergling macro fest. And there is actually a pretty big interchange going down in the middle here. A bunch of Zerglings and some Marauders and a Marine coming from Azreal here as well. And it looks like Darrenc C starting to get up a decent amount of units as well here, going to get in the mix and try to see if he can turn the tide of this battle just a little bit.
Yeah, I like the choice of sentries from Darrenc C. They can be extremely effective against Marauder and Marine combinations with the Guardian Shield ability. And of course, Force Field can be really effective against Zerglings. They're really messing up their pathing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like there are a couple of Banelings coming out for FabIntegral right now, and he's going to try to get him up here and do some damage on these Zerglings, although most of the Zerglings from Bubba are already dead. But keep in mind that Banelings are actually somewhat useful against infantry as well, and as you can see, although not doing a huge amount of damage to those Marauders, able to soften them up a little bit, making the Speedlings' job, chasing those down a little bit easier, although here comes some more Speedlings to reinforce his position. A ton of back and forth action in the early game already between these two teams, and it looks like it's going to be an all-out Tier 1 war right in the middle of the map here.
And we've seen FabIntegral and Darrenc C just kind of go non-stop pressure at this point in the game. It's their style. They like to just keep sending units out. You make them like them, make them handle these high-pressure situations. It looks like they might lose this battle here right now. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a lot of units just constantly streaming. You can see on the minimap, it's just a mesh. It's a rainbow of units just coming from all different directions here. And one thing to note about Azreal is he already has concussive and he already has Stimpack research. So he is going very, very tech-heavy upgrades for his Marauders right now, sticking with this very heavy Marauder build. So basically Zerglings and Marauders for Azreal and Bubba right now, whereas Darrenc C really sticking with the Warp Gate units, a lot of Zealots, a lot of Sentries, and even getting some Stalkers in the mix there as well. But there are not enough Zerglings backing up this Protoss force right now, although here comes some reinforcements, and just constantly seeing back and forth action, reinforcing each other's positions, just trying to hold on to their foothold in the center of this map here and make sure that one player does not overtake the other. And as you can see, the purple expansion, Bubba here, he has got this base up and running but has not yet actually used it for mining, so at this point only using those extra larvae for production. And as you can see, FabIntegral still has not put up an expansion of his own, but he is not losing anything in the econ game because the econ is not being used at the expansion for Bubba. And looking at the income here, we can see that once again Azreal does have the advantage. Of course, the mules for the Terran players does give them that mining advantage in the early game by calling down those mules for the extra 50 energy. They're able to get that 30 resources per trip return, and there are a lot of units starting to build up in the middle of the map here.
Force was right on this. Exactly what Darrenc C needed to do to keep those Marauders from cutting the Zealots.
Yeah, absolutely. As a Protoss player, 13, is there any other way that you can deal with Marauders aside from putting a wall of force fields behind them and keeping them from running away when you try to come and get them?
That's pretty much the most effective way to do it. You know, charge lots also are a little bit more effective, but if you can combine charge lots with force fields, that's really just the perfect combination.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like Darrenc C and FabIntegral are actually starting to make their way, pushing back a little bit. They had been fighting at the entrance to their ramp for a long time, and now managing to push back all the way to the ramp, entering into the main area between the two bases for Azreal and Bubba. So really managing to get themselves pushed onto the offensive. A lot of Banelings coming in for Bubba right now, in addition to the Speedlings, and he still has not really got anything mining. He does have one drone there, but I don't know if you could really call that an economic advantage. But it looks like we are going to see yet another clash between these two. Oh, and they need to be really careful with all those Zealots and Sentries not to let those Banelings get in too close. And a ton of force fields going down, really not letting those Banelings get a ton of splash damage on any of those Zealots there, managing to take out only one Zealot with all those Banelings, and the Sentries do focus fire down the last few Banelings, and here comes some more force fields. Zealots managing to trap some of those Marauders and take out one of them, another one pretty low on health, but not able to take it down. And Azreal just has a ton of units being constantly cranked out. Looking at the production in his base, he's got 5 barracks with Tech Lab atoms just constantly streaming out Marauders.
But it doesn't look like FabIntegral and Darrenc C are going to stop the pressure. They think they have a slight advantage right now, just an ever so slight advantage with those Sentries using the force field. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and it looks like Bubba trying to do a run by there. A couple of good force fields there, managing to stop about half of the Zerglings from getting in there. And some reinforcements from FabIntegral are going to slow down Bubba's Zerglings from getting all the way back into the base while they continue to push up. And Azreal, once again, using that micro. Oh, and some great force fields, managing to slow down Azreal's Marauders just a little bit. And here come the Speedlings, forcing them to just get stuck up against that force field wall, and there are a ton of force fields going down, actually blocking Azreal from retreating back into his base. There are a handful of Marauders up on the ramp here, but they are just not going to be able to defend against all the units taking down the poor Marauders that were trapped outside. Oh, and a great Baneling there, apparently taking out about 6 or 7 Zerglings there, it looks like, and another good Baneling taking out a couple of Zerglings. Not super effective, but meanwhile keeping the Zergling reforces from Bubba inside his main base. He is not able to currently defend this position, and here comes Azreal with the remainder of his Marauder forces and going to try to hold off this all-out assault. And at this point, I've got to think that Darrenc and I'm sorry, his FabIntegral, that's his partner's name, just blank there for a second. It seems like they are just 100% committing to this. If this does not work here pretty soon, then they could be in a world of trouble, because as you can see, the expansions are still up and running for Azreal and Bubba, despite the fact that they have not been mining a whole lot at them. They do have those expansions up and running, and will be able to start harvesting from them much quicker because the buildings are already up and running. But there are just a ton of units starting to stockpile here.
Yeah, I'd like to see the units lost key right here. It doesn't seem like Darrenc has lost hardly any units at all.
Yeah. And looking at the units lost, you can actually see that right now Azreal has lost the most just in his Marauders, so that is actually not what I would have expected to see on there, to be honest.
Yeah, but Darrenc has just been so good using those force fields to keep those Marauders from kiting any of his units, and that's really what's turning the tide of this battle right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like Azreal completely barricaded into his base right now. Cannot get out, although they are not attacking in this expansion yet. I really think that if they're going to do some significant damage, they should really go after that expansion and take it out while they can, because there is nothing to defend this other than a handful of Marauders, which at this point are stuck in his base. And it looks like Darrenc using that proxy pylon to continuously reinforce, but meanwhile, Bubba trying to sneak by some Zerglings here and get in, but FabIntegral has a pack of Zerglings just in hot pursuit, trying to take these Zerglings out to keep them from doing any kind of a damage that they cannot respond to quick enough. And there are just an enormous amount of sentries right now. 10 sentries on the map for Darrenc, which is a huge amount. That's why he's been able to spam force field so much.
Yeah, I don't think that Azreal or Bubba were prepared for such a heavy sentry army like this. We don't see this happen very often. You know, this was a real common strategy in the early stages of the beta, but because the attack has been reduced on those sentries, we don't see heavy sentry armies like this.
And we are going to see a GG from Bubba and Azreal, losing their first game in the tournament so far. Up until now, they were undefeated, and it looks like FabIntegral and Darrenc proving that they are a force to be reckoned with as well, managing to take game number 1 in the finals away from Azreal and Bubba. So we're going to move on to game 2 right now and see if they can continue their pursuit of the championship.
Great game so far. Can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, guys. GG.
GG.